If you're moving to Orlando, one of the first questions you're probably going to be asking is, what kind of house can I actually afford? And here's what's fascinating. The answer it changes dramatically depending on where you buy, what part of town. In one suburb, $500,000 might get you a newer home with plenty of space. In another, that same budget may barely get your foot in the door. At $750,000, the differences become even bigger. And once you reach the $1 million range, you're entering a completely different world depending on the community that you choose. So today we're going to compare what 500,000, 750,000, and 1 million typically buys in some of the most popular Orlando neighborhoods, including Winter Garden, Windermere, Horizon West, Claremont, Lake Nona, and Dr. Phillips. But stay until the end because I'm going to reveal where I believe buyers get the most value at each of those price points. And one answer surprises many relocation buyers. Hi, I'm David Dowell, realtor and real estate attorney here in Orlando, Florida. I help people relocate to Central Florida all the time. And one thing I can consistently hear from buyers is, hey, David, we've looked online, but we're having trouble understanding what our budget really buys. That's completely normal. You see, photos online, they don't always tell the full story. Far from it, actually. And what works in one neighborhood may look completely different in another. So let's break it down, budget by budget. So let's start with the budget range where many relocation buyers begin their search. $500,000, $500,000. Now, depending on where you're moving from, $500,000 might sound like a lot, or it might sound surprisingly affordable. In Orlando, it can still buy a very nice home in the right area, but location matters enormously. So let's start off, for example, with Claremont. At $500,000 in Claremont, you're often getting some of the strongest value in Central Florida. You might find newer construction out there, 4-bedroom homes, larger lots, more square footage, and modern layouts. Many out of the state buyers right now, they're really shocked by what they can get in Claremont compared to the other higher cost markets. Now, emotionally, it feels like you're getting, I'd say, room to breathe. You're really getting a lot for your money. So for families who want space, Claremont becomes really attractive. Now let's talk Horizon West. At $500,000, Horizon West, well, the inventory becomes a lot more competitive. You may be looking at townhomes here, or a very small single-family home, newer construction, and amenity-rich communities. But see, you're paying for the location here in Horizon West. You're paying for the schools, the community planning, and just the convenience. So what you're gaining isn't necessarily size, it's the lifestyle. Now, Winter Garden. Well, at this price point in Winter Garden, buyers often find a big mix. A mix of townhomes, single-family homes, smaller single-family homes, older established homes, and a select amount of newer homes. But Winter Garden offers flexibility. You're buying into one of the most desirable communities in all of Central Florida. Now, Lake Nona, at $500,000, Lake Nona options, they're going to be more limited than many buyers expect. It's not going to be easy because demand in that area, it remains really high. You see, many buyers are surprised to learn that they may need to compromise on size, age, or even the location within a community. But that's Lake Nona. Now, next up, let's talk Windermere. Well, Windermere can be very challenging on this budget. Inventory is going to be extremely limited. Competition can be stronger, and buyers often discover they can get significantly more house just outside of Windermere. Basically, what I'm saying is you're not going to find a $500,000 house in Windermere. Maybe a condo, maybe a townhome, maybe. But for that budget, it's going to be hard in Windermere. Now, like Windermere, Dr. Phillips generally commands a premium just because of the lifestyle there. So at $500,000, choices are going to be a lot more limited than buyers anticipate in Dr. Phillips. Now, what about $750,000? What does that buy you? Okay. Well, let's move into what I consider one of the sweet spots in today's market here in Central Florida. That's that $750,000 area. This is where buyers begin unlocking significantly more options, $700,000 to $750,000. For example, Winter Garden. Well, with this budget, Winter Garden becomes incredibly attractive. You're often going to find larger homes, better locations, more upgraded finishes, strong school zones, and established communities. Now, many relocation buyers feel this is where Winter Garden really shines at this budget and above. As far as Horizon West is concerned, at $750,000, it really opens that up dramatically as well. From $750,000 up, you gain access to a lot larger homes, premium lots, the brand new communities, although they're all fairly new, enhanced amenities, and this is often where buyers start getting both space and lifestyle at $750,000 and up. Now, for Lake Nona, well, now it becomes much more accessible in Lake Nona. Buyers can often find newer construction there, larger floor plans, as well as desirable communities. So the overall experience improves considerably in Lake Nona compared to the $500,000 price point. Now, let's talk about Windermere. Now, this is where Windermere starts to get interesting. You see, at $750,000, buyers start entering some of the communities that made Windermere famous. You know, you might not be buying a lake from the state for $750,000, but you're getting much closer to the Windermere lifestyle that people envision. Yes, you can buy a nice home in Windermere for $750,000. In Claremont, Claremont continues delivering tremendous value at all price points. But at this budget, buyers often begin comparing luxury level homes in Claremont against what I would call mid-range homes elsewhere. So that's when the conversation really starts to get interesting. Now, Dr. Phillips, it also becomes much more competitive at this price point. You see, the neighborhood options expand considerably, and buyers can begin assessing some of the area's most desirable communities at this $750,000 price point. Now, let's move on. What about $1 million? Let's talk about the 7-figure budget. Well, because this is where I think the difference becomes really dramatic. So, for example, in Claremont, at $1 million, buyers often feel like they're getting, I guess, what they would say luxury level value. You know, these really large homes, premium lots with the custom features, and in some cases, incredible views. Remember, Claremont's got a lot of rolling hills. In Horizon West, at this level, Horizon West offers stunning properties. They really do. New construction, premium upgrades, excellent community amenities, and some of the more highly desirable locations. In Winter Garden, well, it becomes extremely compelling as well at $1 million. Here, buyers can access luxury communities, custom homes, the historic charm, and exceptional locations. So this is where Winter Garden's versatility, I think, really shines. Now, Lake Nona, it's also very attractive. Buyers gain access to many of the features that make this community really desirable, like all the luxury finishes on the homes, very modern architecture, and the premium neighborhoods in Lake Nona. Now, how about Dr. Phillips? Well, at $1 million, now Dr. Phillips begins delivering the lifestyle that many buyers envision. It's that perfect location, convenience, luxury, established neighborhoods, as well as a strong long-term demand. Now, Windermere, well, we'll bring that up last. You see, at $1 million, buyers can begin entering what I call the luxury market that's made Windermere famous. You get the lake access. Not a whole lot of houses that will do that, but now you start to get the lake access. You get luxury communities, prestigious addresses, beautiful surroundings, and this is where Windermere, like I said, truly starts separating itself. So, where do you get the most value? Well, let's answer the question everybody's waiting for. Where do you get the most value at $500,000? It's probably, I'd give the edge to Claremont, just because the amount of house you can get remains really impressive. What about $750,000? I would say Winter Garden and Horizon West become incredibly compelling. They offer a strong combination of lifestyle, location, schools, and housing options at this price point. So at $1 million, well, the answer is going to depend entirely on your goals. If luxury and prestige matter the most, then Windermere becomes very difficult to beat, guys. If versatility matters most, maybe Winter Garden deserves some serious consideration. But I think the biggest mistake that buyers make is focusing only on square footage. You've heard me say this before if you've seen my videos. I think more square footage doesn't mean a better lifestyle. Sometimes the neighborhood matters more. Sometimes the commute matters more. Sometimes the schools matter more. Sometimes the community itself matters more. So the smartest buyers evaluate the entire package, not just the house. So let me give you some final thoughts on this. One of the things I love about Central Florida, the Orlando area, is that there's truly something for almost every budget. It's so different in the various communities. So the key is understanding what matters most to you, because the right house in the wrong area, it can really become a disappointment eventually. But the right area often makes even an imperfect house feel like home. So really here in Florida, Central Florida, it's about the community feel. So if you're planning on moving to Orlando in the near future, Central Florida, if you want any help at all understanding your specific budget or what it can buy in the different communities or what these communities are like, I'd be happy to help. You can comment with the word relocation down below. I will start off by sending you a link to my Orlando relocation guide. But also, I'm curious, guys, let me know this in the comments. If you're moving to Orlando area today, would your budget be closer to $500, $750, or $1 million? That'll help me with my future videos. Thanks for watching. Text me if you got any questions. Have a good one.